Well, joining us now from Cyprus is Marshall Gittler, Head of Investment Research at FXPRIMUS. Thank you for joining us, Marshall. Can central bankers, do you think, really do anything more to boost the global economy? I mean, are we now looking to finance ministers to do something?
Well, yes, on the monetary side, I'd say that the pedal is on the metal. The interest rates aren't just at zero, they're negative. There really isn't much more we can do that way. Any action would have to be fiscal, but I don't see any appetite there among major governments for that. The U.S. can't expand spending until the election. Germany refuses to, although the refugee crisis may force their hand. Japan's already running a very loose fiscal policy. China is the only country that seems to be expanding their fiscal policy, but that runs counter to their aim of restructuring the economy, so even they have a limit.
So, Marshall, I mean, you mentioned Japan there. How seriously should we take the phenomenon of negative interest rates? Do you think they do more harm than good?
Well, that seems to be the worry, that they're eating into banks' profits so much that actually they will hurt the financial system and cause banks to raise the interest rates that they charge lenders. Certainly, we haven't seen them causing any great increase in investment. They haven't been feeding through to the real economy. Probably the main way they're supposed to help economies is by causing the exchange rate to depreciate, but as your previous guest pointed out, that's a zero-sum game. They can't all do that. So at the end of the day, they're just stuck with negative rates on government bonds and no stimulus to the economy.
Well, talking of negative rates, up until just a couple of months ago, we were expecting a series of interest rate increases from the US Federal Reserve this year. What do you think, they'll be discussing at the G20, but what do you think they will do this year now?
Well, I think the debate in the U.S. is still over whether to raise rates or not. They're very far away from the idea of negative rates. I suspect that they're really determined to raise rates at least one more time, not to tighten policy, but more to proceed in normalizing policy. So I think the market's underestimating the possibility of more rate hikes in the U.S. Having said that, I don't see any aggressive tightening for several years now.
So let's talk a little bit about currency wars. Recently, there's been a lot of concern about it. What's your take on that right now?
Well, yes, this move towards zero interest rates really is, in effect, a currency war, because that's the main way that the effect of negative rates is transmitted to the real economy, and it just cancels each other out while damaging the banking system. The problem is, if everybody does this, then there's nobody can win, but somebody can lose. The U.S. would be the loser because the U.S. has declared unilateral disarmament in this currency war. The other countries may see their currency depreciate against the dollar, but nobody would gain a relative advantage. The only possible victor would be China if it decided to, simply because it's the biggest player, but they've really decided that they're not going to use that tool.
Very
and with
good.
A growing trade surplus, there's no reason why they should.
Marshall Gittler at FXPRIMUS. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but thank you very much indeed for joining us today.